you know that up to 60% of sexually active adults have at one point or another been infected with HPV? How come you probably never heard about this before? Like this is the first time you're hearing about HPV, the human papillomavirus. Well, stick and stay, I'll tell you why. All right, welcome back. I'm Dr. Kelvin. I'm your wellness consultant, which means your health is indeed my topmost priority. In the past couple of weeks in Ghana, there's been a lot of chatter about HPV vaccination. That's vaccine for the human papillomavirus. And many of you are wondering why you should be concerned. Well, did you know that up to 60% of sexually active adults have been infected with HPV at some point in their life? Yes, so you watching me, the probability that you've been infected before is very, very high. So how come you never heard about HPV? Well, that's because most people who are infected with HPV are able to recover from the infection without taking any medication. That sounds like good news, right? Well, yes, it's good news. But, there's always a but. Some people who are infected with HPV are not able to clear it. And these people are at risk of developing cancer. Yes, you heard right. Cancer. HPV is a cancer-causing virus and is sexually transmitted. That's why you need to know about it. So, if you're infected with HPV and your body isn't able to clear it, what happens? Well, it depends on where the infection has occurred. Remember, I said it's sexually transmitted, right? So, how you like your sex, well, that's how you develop the cancer. So if you have regular penile-vaginal sex, then your risk of developing vaginal cancer or cervical cancer is very, very high. If you have anal sex, your risk of developing anal cancer is very, very high. If you have oral sex, your risk of oral throat cancer is very, very high. And for the men, well, penile cancer, very, very high. And so whichever form of sex you enjoy, that's how HPV will cause its cancer. Now, it's a big deal because when it comes to women, especially in cervical cancer, HPV is responsible for up to 98% of cervical cancer. Now, if you think about it, cervical cancer is the number 2 highest cause of mortality amongst women with cancer. So it is a big deal, which means if we can prevent HPV infection, then we can remove about 90% of cervical cancer, right? Yes, and that's the reality, and then that's why it's a big deal. That's why you need to be aware that there's a vaccine against HPV. Yes, and it's available in Ghana. In fact, the government is going to roll out a vaccination drive for children, for girls especially, between 9 and 14 years. And so it's important that if you have a daughter, you get that girl vaccinated. Okay, very important. This is because most girls are exposed or they're infected with HPV during their very first sexual encounter, especially if that encounter was unprotected. Unprotected sex. They get exposed, and then 5-10 years later, they start developing the cancer. And so if we can vaccinate them before their first sexual encounter, that's going to make a huge difference. All right. Now, for those of you who are already past the age of consent, you've already been having sex, well, somehow too late for the vaccination. However, if you still want to get vaccinated, it just means that we need to screen you for HPV. And if you are HPV negative, then you can get the vaccination. Even though government will not pay for that vaccination, you have to pay for yourself. This government program is only targeted at girls between 9 and 14. And so we need to leave that for them. Okay. Now, cervical cancer is pretty much the only cancer that can be 100% prevented because of this vaccination and pap smear. Pap smear detects the changes in the cell before it becomes frank cancer. And so if you go through the pap smear, if your cells are beginning to change, we can pick it up and then deal with it quickly. And so cervical cancer can actually be 100% prevented. If you're a woman and you have been vaccinated against HPV, you do the pap smear every 5 years. If you have not been vaccinated against HPV, you do the pap smear every 2 years. And with this habit or with this practice, you are guaranteed that you will never develop cervical cancer. That's the reality, because we can catch it early, deal with it before it even becomes cancer, or you may not develop it at all because you have been vaccinated against it. Okay, so this is why you need to understand that HPV is real, is the most common STI, and we can actually prevent it. All right, so if you have not been paying attention, now you know. Go get yourself vaccinated, all right? Leave your comments, feedback, questions in the comment section, and I'll attend to it as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can build this community together, all right? Have a fabulous day.